Hello, my name is Michael Griffin. I'm going to be talking about outdoor survival skills here, and a lot of people want to know when I take them in the woods how I'm able to find certain plants so quickly, how I know where to look instantly almost, and how I can find animals so quickly. They're stunned, people go hunting, and they pick a certain spot that they might have tried to figure out for a long period of time where these deer may be going or something like that, or rabbits or something. And then they'll sit there for hours waiting. And then here I come along and all of a sudden I walk in the woods and in a short period of time I have an animal. And they're a little confused at what I'm doing. And so many TV shows and stuff tell you how to hunt and stuff like that. But I'm going to show you a better way of doing this. And it's a type of philosophy I call the triangle of life. And what I mean by that, all animals, all life per se, including plants, they have certain needs in life. And when you understand the basic needs for the animals and the plants, it's quite easily to figure out where they should be or what they should be doing at a certain time of the day or the year. And I kind of, it's not the eye of Horus or some kind of conspiracy thing or something. But if you look here, the common needs for most things are that are living is shelter, water, and food. And I call this a triangle life. And if you can find all three of those, you're going to and put the center of that, you're going to find that source of plant or animal anywhere that you go. And first, you got to understand, um, like we were talking about the four elements in the last video, or just the basic needs of a human. But every life force has to have that kind of need. And you might consider like plants. We think of juniper trees out here in Arizona. That junipers are going to be roughly grown somewhere, start hitting about the 5,000 foot range, and all the way up to 7,000 foot range. You're going to see a lot of juniper. And so instantly, if I go anywhere in Arizona in the 5,000 to 6,000, 7,000 foot range, I know I'm going to find juniper. If I'm down on the desert floor at 1,000 feet, don't expect to find too many juniper. There's a lot of water-loving plants that gotta have water. Cottonwoods out here, they love water. So if you're looking for a cottonwood tree, you're not going to find it in the dry, barren, rocky outcrops of a mountain. You're going to find them in the ravines um, that have water or the river sources. Animals are the same way. They have certain shelters that they live in. Some are burrowing animals; they live up on the ground. Some of them prefer certain soils because or certain trees to live in, and or they like open fields, even in weather patterns. Deer are going to try to get down in the thicket, swamps, or real heavy brush of a conifer forest to stay protected from the elements. But then on a good sunny day, he's going to most likely bed down somewhere in a nice sunny grassy field where he can absorb the sunshine. He wants to stay warm as well. So if you kind of understand those elements of what the animals and the plants need, you can go anywhere. Um, Different soil types for plants and produce certain types of plants. You get acid soils. Acid soils are going to hold a lot of blueberries and oaks and pine trees and stuff like that, compared to alkaline soils, which would have a lot of cactuses and stuff like that. So once you understand those types of shelters that plants and animals are using on a daily basis, it's not that hard to understand. A deer, might be sitting up on a cliff with a wind coming up because he wants to be able to know that danger's coming. So he sits at the highest point so he can hear anything coming behind him. But with the wind, he can smell. So when the wind changes, he's going to he may go down to the bottom of the forest, so when the wind comes down the mountain, he can smell anything coming at him that way. So it's just vice versa. So you always have these things that you got to think about when you're out there looking for animals that are sheltered. You got to understand movements. Animals, when they get up out of bed, we're just the same way. We get up and we're fixing to go somewhere. Where are we going? We're going to the kitchen or the bathroom. But most likely going to get something to eat and something to drink before we move out on our day. Well, animals are no different. Plants are no different. They're a little bit more stationary. They can't really move anywhere, but they have needs as well as too. And so when you understand what time of these animals they're actually sleeping, then it's more clear to understand what time to go and look for certain things. Fruit on a tree is could be dormant in the wintertime, but during the summer and the fall, the fruits are there. So you know to go looking for blueberries at a certain time of year. You're not going to go looking any time. So when you cross those 3 points of the triangle that I'm talking about, then it makes a lot more sense. You know, the deer are going to get up. The first thing they're going to want to do is go find some water. That water may be dew. If there's dew on the ground, he's a lazy animal. He's not going to walk down to a creek bed. But if it's a dry morning, he's going to have to be. He's going to have to go to a spring, or he's going to have to go to a creek, or some kind of place that has water. So when you when you realize where they're sleeping at on a certain day and where they can get water, where their water source is, and then the third thing is where are they going to eat? What are they going to eat? They're not going to eat grass 365 days out of the year. They may, but their diets are going to change. You know, back east they're going to want acorns at a certain time of the year. But and then when it gets even more detailed, if the red acorns are producing first, which are bitter, and then the white oats come out and they're sweeter, but they're going to stop feeding on those red acorns, and they're going to start focusing more on the white acorns. And even in um, droughts, a lot of people think that would be a hard time to hunt because they wouldn't know where to go. But actually, droughts create an easy source of hunting because what you're looking for because you know exactly where these animals are going to go. There's a one tree that's producing somewhere in the woods or in the forest or the desert that has a lot of food, and all the animals are going to go to it that eat on that fruit. So instead of looking over a mass produced forest that's producing acorns everywhere where the deer don't have to walk up, the squirrels don't have to walk anywhere, they're right there. But when there's a lack of food or water, they have to come to that food source. And you can usually listen. You know, if there's crows and blue jays and squirrels quackling all at one time, generally we're going to find deer in that area as well. They're all gathering to one tree for some reason. This could be any kind of plant that they're gathering to. Or it could be a water source. You see water in movies like in the desert, where in on PBS, where the animals are getting lacker and lack of water, so all the animals are coming to that one spot, and that makes for very easy hunting. It makes for dangerous hunting because there's a lot of animals coming, but it also makes for easy finding. So if you can find that one source, you'll know where to look. And like back east, if there's a drought been going on, the acorns up in the mountains that don't have any water source are going to start producing what the acorns on the creek bed are going to produce. So you know to go looking for acorns in a creek bed that are going to produce because the tap roots are way down up in the ground. And even out here in the desert, you may not have any water in the wash, but the roots are going straight down to the water source. There is water up under there somewhere. And there's going to be more food around creek bed in the desert than there is going to be out in the open. But sometimes it could be vice versa, depending. But so if you take those three things and you put them together, you're going to end up finding the animal or the plant, and that's a very key success. There's another thing that I'm going to talk about in the next video that's using fractional geometry to better find detail where these animals or plants are going to be. But once you get the basic understanding of that, you can find anybody, any plant, any animal. It's not that difficult. But if you're studying the deer family, you got to understand what the deer are eating. Um, Deer in the southeast aren't going to eat the same thing as the deer eat in the southwest. In the southwest, deer are not going to eat the same thing in the Pacific coast or up in Canada. So you need to kind of have a basic concept of what these animals are doing and what they prefer in different terrains. You can get that information anywhere here on the website. I did a triangulation on a topo map of the White Mountains in Arizona, and all I did was I triangled all the springs together, and I made just this big long loop because I know elk basically go in a walk in a circle pattern. And when I triangled all the springs together, one here and one on top of here, one came out that way, and I just walked that line. I saw elk all the time. There were so many elk I couldn't stop seeing. But if I went where the springs were not, instantly I couldn't hardly see but one or two every now and then that like to venture out in the open. So that was an easy key to find a game. There is another thing you got to understand though. Predators prey on animals. So, so to understand them, you're going to have what I call like a star data. You're going to have to understand what he's preying on, and then you're going to have to understand how he works, how his food circle is. Kind of like a wolf, we could say. Wolves and coyotes, they don't really need a lot of water. Rodents don't really need a lot of water. They can get that water out of plants or the blood of the animals. So for animals like that, you wouldn't necessarily be looking for a major water source. You might just want to be looking for plants that have water or animals that they're feeding on that would have a lot of blood. So, if the wolves are feeding on the caribou, and the caribou are moving south, and you know that. If you want to find wolves, you need to move where the caribou are going, and you will find wolves. If the wolves aren't there and they decide to stay, then they're going to transition themselves to eating mice. So you need to start focusing on mice and rabbits and stuff like that. If they don't follow those caribou, generally they're going to follow a herd of animals, but there are exceptions to the rule. And the last thing I would say was reproduction and mating. You would have the triangle of life, but it would look like a little stick, or it would look like a tree symbol. And when I say that, animals, when they're reproducing, they don't really focus on food as much. We see this in the deer and the squirrels. Squirrels are too busy running up and down the tree, chasing each other, and they'll snack every once in a while. Deer are pretty much the same thing. They're in their rutting, fighting stage, and you're not too focused on food. So certain times of the year, you have to realize there is a rut, there is a spawn, there is certain time of stage that animals aren't going to be focused so much on food. Once you understand that, um, most deer in America are going to be mating somewhere in August, November, late December for a second mating season. Florida, they can mate all year long, so it's a little bit different. Squirrels, they can mate 3 times a year, and so you're going to see that same pattern 3 times at least in a lot of places in America. But once you understand that, you don't want to focus as much on food. You start to focus on what are the mating patterns of this animal. Once you get the basic concepts of that, you can find anything. I hope you enjoy this. I'm going to talk about fractional geometry on how to find animals as well. Thank you very much.